Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports. Yay is right. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Nice to have you.
Again. Nice to have you. We are so excited this week to bring you our complete jackass of the week, as usual. Hope you enjoyed last week's complete jackass.
I loved it.
Craig Titus,
man,
was as big of a lunatic as anybody we've covered, as we've said before. And
his wife.
And his wife, yeah, we got a 2-for-1 there. So that was beautiful, those crazy-ass people. We've been having a lot of good times here, and I hope you also checked out Sally McNeil as like a kind of a brother-sister podcast of that one as a bodybuilding murderers. This week, before we get into this week, I do want to thank everybody for iTunes reviews, that sort of thing. Please, please, please get on iTunes and give us a review. We beg of you. 5 stars obviously would be lovely. Yeah. Just say, following instructions like we've been doing. It's our own little tag, our own little joke. It helps us out so much, and we have to try to catch up to these other people with podcasts that honestly are kind of shitty, and they crush us in numbers.
I don't know how they're doing it.
Well, I think we're pretty funny. I think we're doing a good job. And
I think we're covering very well, and the research is amazing.
We're trying our best here, so please, show that you love us. If you're behind us, show that you love us as much as these people have their people. Represent the crime and sports movement.
You're being way too diplomatic, because I've listened to some of these podcasts, and it's fucking unlistenable.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding negative.
Yeah. That's what, I don't want to.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to start a podcast
either.
But
that at all.
At the same time, I just want to punch them because
we're just asking our people who are behind us.
I want to solve it with violence.
Please show us the love. And speaking of solving things with violence, all of our people do. So we're influenced by these people. You never know what could happen. That's all I'm saying. We've got a lot of bad influences. So write a review for us, please. Also,
be honest on the stars, but fucking say something sweet about the show.
5 is nice, though, because it keeps us up at the...
I like words. I love to read.
Great. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Also, too, we have the Patreon page, patreon.com/crimeandsports, if you feel like you want to throw a couple bucks at us. There's helpful. Some rewards and stuff, but iTunes reviews are free. We'll just say that. Please, please, please. Anyway, moving on past that. Also, too, want to plug one other thing. July 6th at the Tempe Improv. You can see Jimmy Whisman and myself. It's kind of a crime and sports night. Right. So we're not going to do podcasts, but it's stand-up, crime and sports.
We're going to tell dick jokes.
We're going to tell lots of dick jokes. Right. And you can use the promo code crime and sports, and it's on us. You get it for free. If you can use that on the website. You can use it at the box office. You can walk up the night of the show and use that, and they will let you in for free. So please, please come out and see us. We'll hang out. We'll talk about every one of these idiots if you want. We'll give you all the time you want. We'll have a blast. But all right, let's get into this without further ado. This guy is amazing. Yeah. What a lunatic. Marvin Barnes, guys. Marvin Barnes. If you don't know who Marvin Barnes
sounds like a homeless man.
And he was at one point. We'll get into that. He becomes that. And he looks homeless toward the end of his life.
That name just sounds very not exciting. Yeah, just a very blasé person.
Well, Marvin Barnes was actually the opposite of that. Yeah. This guy is, if you could put the 70s and mold it into a human being, the decade of the 1970s, this would be the person you'd come out with.
Just texted me a picture of him, and the picture he sent me looked like an I'm going to get you sucker character. It's just every cheesy fucking pimp outfit that you've ever seen in a Halloween
coat,
store.
Pimp hat.
With fucking leopard print
he
somewhere.
Meant it. This was not ironic.
With authority.
This was not ironic in any way, shape, or form. He was 1,000%
That is
serious.
me, and I will wear it.
He's incredible. And also, too, about him, I'll say ahead of time, this is probably the most talented guy we've had. Wow. This is probably the guy that blew it the most of anybody.
Had the biggest potential.
He could have been a Hall of Fame legend, and instead he is a fucking idiot. Well, at this we'll get into what happened, but let's just get into it right now. Marvin Jerome Barnes.
I love it.
Okay, he's born.
That's a solid name.
It's
with
a
Jerome
solid,
in there.
Yeah, Marvin
with Jerome in there.
Sounds tough.
That sounds
tough.
Sounds like he's got a huge dick.
And he probably did, but we're not sure about. I do not have confirmation.
But I feel like he would have
Jimmy,
swung that thing around the locker room.
Yeah,
I would,
like a lasso.
Yeah.
So he's born July 27th, 1952, in North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Right.
He grows up in Rhode Island, grows up in Providence. He describes his childhood just as, quote, horrific.
Really?
And won't go into real details.
Really?
The only real detail I could get out of him was that, or I could get out of him like I interviewed him, but that I could find on him was a quote from him. We're going to do in their own words, earliest ever.
Right out the gate.
This explains a lot here, okay? In their own words, quote, "My father was an alcoholic. He beat my mother, he beat me. When I was 16, I got my .22 caliber gun out and said, 'You ain't going to beat me no more. You got your gun, I got mine, draw.'"
Holy shit!
That's what we're dealing with. That's his childhood.
He's a cowboy.
He's a Rhode Island ghetto cowboy, and he describes it just straight ghetto upbringing.
That's all we've got for the worst childhood ever. I feel like he may be exaggerating a bit.
It's possible, but
because who the fuck wasn't beaten? You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially back then. He's born in the '60s and '70s, but apparently
I grew up in the '80s. I got beaten.
Yeah, apparently
a lot.
It was a little much. He was a little heavy-handed, apparently.
Maybe
with the mom
so
too, and it might have been the mom even.
I don't want to discredit him. I'm just saying I'd like some more proof. What a dick!
But his life is proof of his upbringing.
I guess. I got beaten a lot when I was a kid, but I never told anybody fucking draw. So maybe he is telling the truth.
He seems tough. Yeah, old Marvin.
I never
Jerome
Wyatt
Barnes.
Earp to my fucking stepfather.
No. So he grows to 6'9", 225. Big cat. He's a forward / center, but man, he could move with the ball, and he was
fast.
He was fast for his size. He could move. He could play down low. He could get boards, blocks. He could shoot. He was just a great player. He attended Central High School in Providence, where they got state titles, and he was just he was owning it. He was called by the Providence Journal the greatest basketball talent the city ever produced.
Wow.
When he came out of high school. Had some trouble right away in high school. This guy does not. We're not going to go through a whole lot of time in between crimes, basically. It's like he's real consistent, this guy.
I'm into that.
Only with crime. Nothing else in his whole life. Well, maybe drugs.
That's good for us.
But yeah, so in high school, him and several other young gentlemen tried to rob a bus.
Oh, Jesus.
Rob the people on the bus. And so he's like 17. He's going on trying to. This is like some cowboy shit here, like modern day cowboy shit.
Like
he's robbing the train.
Right.
Yeah. So they try to rob the bus. Would have been fine. Problem is, while he's robbing the bus, his attire that he chooses is his Central High School state champion jacket.
Jesus Christ. And he's wearing his Letterman.
On that jacket, right up front on the breast pocket, guess what it says? Marvin.
Goddamn right it does.
So when they're like, police come and say, describe who robbed you. 6'9" gentleman. I don't know, but he had a Central High School state champion basketball jacket on, and I believe his name was Marvin. Does that narrow it down a little bit? Anyway, to 12 guys? Are they all named Marvin? Probably not. It's probably him.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty stupid.
That's the dumbest crime I've ever heard in my life.
That's the equivalent of O.J. Simpson walking into a hotel room to rob a bunch of guys with no mask. Just walking in and being like, give me all my stuff back.
He had already threatened them. Like, I'm coming to get my shit back. Like, he didn't think it was going to go that direction.
So stupid.
He gets to college. He's a beast in college.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Freshman year, 21.6 points per game, 15.7 rebounds.
Wow.
Killing it. 18.3 points the next year, 19 rebounds, finishes up with 22.1 points a game, 18.7 rebounds.
He's averaging double-doubles
and that's dominant for college. Yeah. That's especially back then, because the ball wasn't moving like it does. That was 22 points a game was a lot back then, and 18,
slower
19
paced
rebounds.
game back then.
That's some shit right there.
Pulling
That's
it
something.
down.
He's an All-American, consensus first-team All-American in '74.
Yeah.
He's the man. They go to he takes Providence to the Final Four.
Wow.
Providence, not a big powerhouse.
Have they ever been to the Final Four since?
I think so, yeah.
Have
but
they?
they're I think a a couple of times actually.
The word Providence doesn't sound hard to scrabble at all. It's
uniforms.
weird
I
that they
like
would.
them, actually.
It's weird that a place called Providence would generate a nudnik. You know, just
it's
anybody that
just small
fucks up.
state.
Yeah,
it's a tiny state.
The word Providence sounds so regal, and
it does.
Like they know which salad is the salad fork.
Well,
you know what I mean?
He does not know a salad fork from a salad tongue at this point in his life, and it doesn't get any better. He does great at college on the court. Off the court, a couple difficulties. We have an incident on October 10th, 1972. This is not real cool what he does here. He attacks a teammate, Larry Ketviteris.
Okay.
Attacks him with a tire iron. Okay. Apparently, there was a scuffle on the floor when they were at practice. There was a loose ball that Marvin and Larry were fighting for.
Sure.
His last name sucks. I'm calling him Larry.
Yeah, fuck that name.
So there's a scuffle, and apparently Larry loosened a couple of Marvin's teeth with an elbow.
Oh, shit.
Which happens when you're scuffling for loose balls. Now, Larry was thought to be kind of a dirty player and whatever, but I mean, hey, it's basketball, whatever. So anyway, after practice, Larry says a couple other guys kind of lured him out by the cafeteria outside, kind of got in his face saying you can't be playing like that, whatever. Marvin was there too. They kind of surrounded him. He felt a little bit threatened, so he tried to walk away. He said the last thing he heard was Marvin yelling "sucker," which is the most 70s fucking thing you could yell at someone that you're about to sock from behind. Sucker, pow! And then he hits him, and then he apparently said he didn't know it was a tire iron, but then he looked up and saw Marvin with a tire iron.
Wow. He just sucker smacks him? Not even sucker punch, just smacked him.
Walloped him good, and I guess this charges are filed.
Yeah,
he doesn't fuck around.
That's assault.
Yeah, Barnes claims self-defense, but he eventually pleads guilty to assault with a dangerous weapon. He says he just wants to get it over with, and he said he wanted to take the probation because he wasn't ever going to do anything wrong again, so he was happy to just get it over with, the whole deal.
He just has a tire iron.
That's it. Gets a 1-year suspended sentence, 3 years probation for pleading guilty.
That's amazing.
Later on, too, this Larry Ketviteris guy says that it was the black athletes were kind of out to get him.
All right.
And then they say that he was trying to get Marvin suspended so he could be the starter because he was second string Marvin. So, I mean, everything's kind of...
I can believe either side, really.
Either way, Marvin hit the guy with a tire iron and admitted to it in court. So that's a problem. You can't be hitting your teammates.
Tried to crush a dude's skull.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. So... Doesn't matter. The leagues don't care because in 1974 he's drafted number 2 overall.
Wow.
By these Philadelphia 76ers.
76ers don't give a fuck.
Right after Bill Walton. Bill Walton, who, as you might know, is a terrible announcer for the last 20 years with that deep. And I played. Shut the fuck up, Bill Walton.
Eat shit, Bill.
But great player.
Yeah.
And he was drafted by Portland number 1, Marvin Barnes number 2 by Philadelphia.
Wow.
Barnes says, you know what? NBA can suck a dick. Not real interested in the NBA.
Really?
I like the ABA style.
Oh, my God.
And he goes to the ABA because the ABA was making big money offers.
Okay, they're making more money.
It was like the USFL in the 80s. These upstart leagues would try to get the top college talent, and they went out and tried to get Marvin Barnes. So he gets taken by the Spirits of St. Louis.
All right.
Okay? Now, there is a 30 for 30 ESPN documentary that you should just watch anyway because it's fantastic, but especially as it pertains to this because when we talk about his rookie year and some stories involved in it, a lot of it is in this documentary for the next couple minutes, but you should check this out. It's called Free Spirits or something, 30 for 30.
Nice.
Clever. It's amazing, but it's all about this upstart ABA team.
Somebody doesn't know how to name fucking special.
Not really.
Free Spirits.
Free Spirits. Well, they were the Carolina Cougars before that, and they moved there.
Gotcha.
And were bought by another group, and this other group wanted to change things up. They wanted this to be a flashy, kind of fun team that people would want to watch. Marvin Barnes is a flashy, fun guy to watch play. He's a beast on the court.
Name him after an airplane, and that'll get people out there.
Rookie year, I mean, he's a monster, too. He gets a nice contract.
All right.
That he ends up blowing a lot of.
How much was his contract?
His contract's $2.1 million.
Wow.
He thinks it's over 7 years, but it's actually over 14 years.
Oh, shit.
So he's all pissed off about this.
I would be, too.
He gets a $100,000 signing bonus that he blows in less than 5 months.
Wow.
Not even like Art Schleister style. Not gambling. He's not even doing cocaine yet. He doesn't do cocaine till the second year, he says. He just pisses it away buying shit. He's flashy. Buys a $15,000 Cadillac, which in 1974 is an expensive fucking car.
It's a big flash car.
Yeah, that's a big flash car. Girlfriend wrecks it immediately. He's doing warm-ups for his first pro game.
I would fucking murder her.
Well, this is the funny thing. He's doing warm-ups for his first pro game. It's an exhibition in San Antonio. And somebody comes and tells him that his car got crashed. His girlfriend crashed his car. He's so bummed out he only has 6 points that night.
Broke his heart.
Broke his heart. After the game, made himself feel better, went out and bought a $35,000 Rolls Royce.
Holy shit.
He was like, that Cadillac wasn't up to my standards anyway.
I'm gonna get it fixed, and I'm gonna make that woman drive that car, because you know they're never the same after
fender
that.
hanging off of it.
Yeah, she can fuck fixing it. Just make her drive it the way it is.
He is great on the court, but he's such a selfish player. He's just such a selfish player. This is a quote to him. Bob Costas, who you might know, obviously, the sportscaster, giant
Possibly
guy.
the best sportscaster in the history of sportscasting.
And a lot of people say just verbal diarrhea also.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
you either like him or you don't like him, but he's a legendary sportscaster.
Listen,
either way.
fuck his politics. I don't care if you believe him or not, but his sportscasting, second to none.
He sportcasts everything.
Yes.
So you could say, well, his first job out of college was as the play-by-play man for the Spirits of St. Louis.
Oh, how about that?
So that was how Bob Costas is all over the 30 for 30 thing. He told Bob Costas after a game on Halloween night, October 31st, 1974, in San Diego, this is the kind of player he is. In their own words, quote, "Bro, you know what's wrong with this team? We don't have any team play. We don't care about each other. Let me give you an example. Tonight, I had 48 points with 2 minutes to go. Did anybody pass me the ball so I could get 50? Huh? No, they just kept the ball to themselves, and I got stuck on 48.
Jesus Christ.
The problem with this team is they're so selfish, they won't let me get 50 points.
They're so selfish, they won't let me be selfish.
They won't let me take all the shots.
Right. And he called him bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, just listen here.
I love that.
And Costas looked like he was 12.
He probably
then.
was.
I saw pictures of him out of college. He's a midget, first of all.
When I was a kid, I thought he was too young to be calling sports.
This is 15 years before that.
No shit.
The kind of guy he is at this point, there's a flight from Louisville to St. Louis. This is a famous story, and it's awesome. True. It's confirmed by multiple sources. It's silly as shit. Flight from Louisville to St. Louis. Now you cross the time zone there, going west, and you lose an hour. It's an 8 a.m. flight leaving Louisville, landing at 7:56 in St. Louis.
I can't wait to hear
He said, quote, "I ain't getting in no time machine," and rented a car and fucking drove to St. Louis.
He was serious.
He was dead set. I ain't getting in no time machine.
Fuck that.
So serious, he rented a car to drive.
And drove that time machine.
You guys are crazy, man. Unreal. So that's the type of guy we're dealing with here.
Awesome.
Now, rookie year in November 20th, 1974. This is when things start to turn.
Dumb.
He's so amazing, this guy, and he only gets dumber as time goes on. But dumber in like a smart, fun. Like I want to spend time with this guy for a little while, not too long, as we'll see, because bad things will happen to you. But
just for one story of stupidity,
it's incredible.
That I can have forever.
Now, November 20th, the season's not even half over. He's already had a 48.30 rebound game.
Wow.
In his rookie year in the first couple months.
30 rebounds
and 48
in a game.
points in a game. That's just dominating.
That's like every ball that doesn't go in, he's grabbing.
I'm taking this game.
That's incredible.
It's mine. So at this point, there's a guy, now here comes a good... Now, first of all, Marvin Barnes, I haven't said it yet. At this point, his nickname is Bad News.
Awesome.
They call him Marvin Bad News Barnes. So... He's got a great nickname, and he didn't give it to himself either.
That's awesome.
So he's not.
That's why it's a good nickname,
and it's Bad News.
Right.
I'm Bad News Barnes, motherfucker. Like that's awesome. I want to be called Bad News Pietragallo. Like what the Bad News Whisman? Wouldn't that be great?
So solid.
So here comes a guy with a terrible nickname. A guy named Pogo Joe Caldwell.
What the
Pogo
fuck?
Joe, because he jumped like a kangaroo.
Unbelievable.
This is one of those guys. Nowadays, you don't see guys with like the Homer Simpson horseshoe bald in the NBA.
Yeah.
They get plugs, these guys.
Yeah.
Like they're under... Back in the 70s, there was just guys with like a complete bald, like a Carl Winslow going on. You're like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, that dude looks 60 out there.
He looks like he has money.
This guy was one of those, Pogo Joe Caldwell, and a mustache and everything. He looked like some 60-year-old man out there.
Moses Malone had one too eventually.
He was known, exactly. Yeah. He was known as a locker room lawyer, which means he's telling it. He's a veteran and he stirs the shit with people. Hey, they don't give they're screwing you over, man.
Yeah.
You need to get this better with your contract. He said he looked over his contract some dickhead player named Pogo Joe. He's taken his advice from him and advised him to dump his agent. His agent at the time was named Bob Wolf, and hire a guy named Marshall Boyer, an agent named Marshall Boyer.
Oh, boy.
So Marvin does this and goes AWOL from the team. Just disappears.
Really?
Yeah, goes missing.
Fires the agent and then just disappears.
And it's in all the newspapers. Right. Where's Marvin? Marvin's missing. Where the hell's Marvin? Is Marvin dead? Are we going to find Marvin in a river? Yeah. I mean, like, what the hell happened to Marvin?
What is he doing?
He is holding out. He's trying to hold out.
So his agent told him to hold out. His new agent, Boyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woody Page, who you might know as a current guy, he's on like ESPN shows. Okay. He'd be on the show where they all argue in boxes. Whatever the fuck that is.
Around the horn.
One of those. Shit. Yeah. Woody Page. He's the one from Denver. Actually, he's the Denver guy.
Such a heartbreak story.
Marvin Barnes. He says this is a great quote from him.
That he represents my town.
He writes, quote, Marvin Barnes is a free spirit. In fact, the spirits of St. Louis Center is so free, no one knows where he is. He's just gone.
That's a great line.
Barnes is putting out stories. He's calling himself, quote, a penniless millionaire.
Wow.
And said he was hoodwinked by his contract.
That's one of my favorite words.
Hoodwinked. And so like I said, he thought it was for 7 years. It was 14. He gets the money.
Is that 14. When he found out?
I think when Pogo Joe looked over the contract.
He's like, motherfucker, you got to play 14 years to get that shit.
It was probably one of those where Marvin was like, why is my check so small? And Pogo Joe said, let me look at your contract. They fucked you, man.
You may want to go get a tire iron and beat somebody over the head.
Is there like maybe a white backup center? You want a crack in the ear with a tire iron, possibly? At this point, he said he'd, quote, rather work in a factory than play for less than $1 million.
Wow.
So he's tripping at this point. Marvin is losing his mind.
Out of his mind.
Out of his mind. He stays with Boyer, his agent, here for 6 days and then dumps him and hires Walt Frazier, Clyde Walt Frazier is one of the nuttiest people ever, and Billy Cunningham, who's another old basketball player. They were big stars back then. Hires their agent, Erwin Weiner, who sounds like a guy you want representing your affairs.
Yeah.
I want Erwin Weiner representing my shit.
Sounds like that guy's he knows his shit. He knows about money. He's very familiar.
He's got a briefcase. He's got glasses. He's got patches on his elbows.
Also horseshoe hair.
And it's messed up around. He looks like he's got Bernie Sanders hair. He just doesn't care because he's so concerned.
Couple strays on his forehead where hair used to be.
So concerned with your money and your affairs, he has no time. No time. I am Erwin Weiner, sports agent. I don't have time for this shit, okay? Moving on.
He doesn't even smoke the half-smoked cigar that's in his mouth. He just hangs on to it.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't have time to take it out and put it on away because he's so busy worrying about getting you all your money. So a week after this, Erwin Weiner comes through. Marvin's back on the court.
Attaboy, Erwin.
You knew Erwin would get the job done, didn't you? Erwin Weiner. I love him. So Bob Costas says of him at this point, and Costas knows his basketball, and this is being said now, or a few years ago in this documentary, not from the 70s. He said, quote, the truth is that there were many nights, even when Dr. J was in the game, that the best player on the floor was Marvin Barnes.
Unbelievable.
So that's saying some shit, because Dr. J, Julius Erving, I don't
Legend.
care if you know basketball or not, you've heard of Dr. J.
Absolutely.
He's a Babe Ruth of Wayne Gretzky. He's not numbers-wise, maybe, but in name recognition.
Maybe the biggest Philadelphia name ever.
Yeah, and the Nets, and he got around, too. Yeah. He was badass. So that's what Costas said about him. Barnes said of himself at this point, quote, I'm quote, that kind of Negro. That's just what he was all about, man.
I'm just that kind of Negro.
That's out of his mouth. I don't know.
That's fantastic.
So he wins Rookie of the Year in '74, even after disappearing.
Unbelievable.
That's how dominant over Moses Malone, too.
Unbelievable.
Moses Malone was second in the voting.
Wow.
So, that's how badass he is. Rookie year, he's 24 points, 15.6 rebounds a game. 1.8 blocks, too, just for good measure.
Incredible.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. He's nasty.
Almost 2 blocks a game.
His second year in St. Louis, same thing. In 75, 76, 24.1 points a game, 10.8 rebounds, 2.0 blocks.
The leader.
He's
your
killing
guy,
it.
yeah.
And on the court, he has some amazing performances.
Yeah.
They go head up with Dr. J in the playoffs, and he battles him step for step. Barnes was nasty.
Apart from Wilt Chamberlain, back then there weren't that many big guys that were really dominating and running the court.
Bill Russells, you had your Robert he wasn't Parrish. A real offensive force. Bill Russell defenses. You had your Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
but they aren't grabbing boards like that too.
He was a monster. He could have been a monster. He was amazing. So Harry Weltman, president of St. Louis here at this time, who his hair is not so silver. We'll get to more silver men than this. because he's kind of mad at Barnes.
Yeah.
He says, quote, "It's a situation of going from boyhood to manhood, and the adjustment has been extremely difficult for Marvin." So that says something there.
He's got some problems.
In response to this, Marvin says, in their own words, quote, "I'm a basketball player, not a monk. I play the women, I play the clothes, I play the cars, I play everything I can."
That is good.
There's players and there's playees. The playees are the ones that get played by the players. I'm a player. End quote. The 70s in a human.
He's the original Snoop Dogg. That's so great.
Fucking amazing. Every rapper should look at him, you know, from like every 90s rapper, they looked at him and were like, yeah, Marvin Barnes is the guy I got to be.
That's who you got to embody.
So now, November 1975, you know, right in the middle of the 75-76 season here, where he's having a good year, the Larry Ketvideris comes back. He sues Marvin Barnes for $1.5 million.
Of course he does.
For the 72
'cause he's got
assault.
money now.
Now he's got money.
Yeah.
This trial, he says that the black athletes were out to get him, and it turns into a weird racial thing, and they also cross-examine him. They say, "Would you have got more playing time if Marvin was suspended?" And he was like, "I guess I would." And so that was kind of
awesome.
So it kind of goes there. It turns out November 27th, the judgment settlement comes in. They judge for Larry Ketvideris, obviously, because he pled guilty to in court too, Marvin Barnes.
Right.
So that's kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but you pled guilty in a court of law. And
I don't owe him any money. I already served my penance.
But he only gives him $10,000. Marvin Barnes is ordered to pay $10,000
out of 1.2,
out of 1.5 million.
1.5. That's
so
pretty.
It's not bad. I mean, so
he came up.
Marvin says that he feels vindicated by the settlement because he doesn't give a shit about $10,000. He pisses that away on a seat liner for his Cadillac. He doesn't give a fuck at this point. So.
Jason Williams would have said, "That's the best $10,000 I ever spent."
That's the best $10,000 I ever spent. I beat that motherfucker. What did Jason Williams say? "I beat his fat ass," I believe was his quote.
He did say that.
You guys should really go back to episode 4.
That one's good.
It's an early episode, but god damn it, is that Jason Williams a disaster. Just constant mess, and he's firing guns off for no reason, getting in bar fights. It's a lot of fun, and it ends in murder. So whatever you're into, the true crime murder angle, or just fun of crazy athletes, that has it all for you. Jason
It's a good
Williams.
one.
It's a really good one. So Marvin is just out of control at this point. One of the Spirit's owners, Donald Shrapnick, 1976, in a New York Times article, and this was as the league was folding, because at this point the ABA makes a deal with the NBA to merge.
Right.
And there's a bunch of teams now, like the Pacers, teams like that are Denver Nuggets, I believe, that are ABA teams that are now NBA teams.
Right.
St. Louis was one of the ones that didn't get folded in.
Oh, so they're just going to fold up.
They're going to fold up. Marvin gets picked up in an ABA disbursement draft.
So they just absorb the players.
They absorb the players. Okay. Funny thing is, this is also from the 30 for 30 documentary, a little wrap-up on St. Louis. Their deal, because they kept trying to fight the NBA, the ABA needed them to sign off on it for the deal to be complete, and they kept saying no because they wanted to
be in this, right?
So they made a deal where they get, because there was 7 ABA teams that merged, or 7 ABA teams total, they were one of the 7, they get 1/7 of each one of those teams' television revenues forever.
Oh, wow.
In the 70s, when television revenues weren't anything, so the teams were like, yeah, go ahead, here's your television revenues, idiot. Now it's billions.
Wow.
These guys, I saw in this documentary, there's all these big business guys saying that's the greatest deal in the history of business.
In the history
of business, they were saying.
Like, it's the foresight to know that you're going to be taken care of forever.
They've made hundreds of millions of dollars.
I can't imagine.
For having
I can't imagine how much it is.
A shitty basketball team in St. Louis that no one watched in the mid-70s. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
Incredible. So,
and they don't do anything now.
They do
nothing.
They don't have to do shit.
They just absorb
They have
TV
a party. They have a party every year.
I would have one every day.
And it says they have hats they give out where it says in perpetuity on it, because that's the language of the contract, in perpetuity. And they pop bottles of champagne, and they cheers each other, and they're like, yay, free fucking $50 million again this year.
In perpetuity is the longest go fuck yourself in the history.
It's incredible.
At the end, the longest fuck you.
One of these incredibly smart, awesome gentlemen that I want to live like so fucking badly, Donald Shupak, says that these guys, too, from the documentary seem like cool dudes that own this team. They just seem like cool guys. He said, quote, about Marvin, quote, he's a nice guy, a sweet guy. Everybody likes him. He's just totally unreliable.
Yeah.
He's probably in the top 5 players in basketball, talent-wise. In terms of value to a team, he's probably bottom 10%. Damn
Brutal.
it, Marvin. Damn it, Marvin.
That's a shitty review.
That's not a good... That's a bad Yelp review right there.
That's the
not
worst
a good
there
Yelp
is.
review. That's like, the restaurant's beautiful.
Yeah.
I expected the food to be great. Too bad there was literally feces on my plate. Too bad the Guatemalan busboy shat upon my table and scooped it on my plate.
There was no food. It was just Guatemalan shit.
That's all it was. And rolls that had speckles that could have been Guatemalan shit in it. So he goes to Detroit here when the league is absorbed.
Yeah.
He makes $300,000 a year with Detroit now. 1976, he's
not
making
bad.
$300,000 a year.
That's pretty good.
That's fucking good money right there. I would love to make three.
Yeah.
I mean,
in the 90s, $100,000 was great money.
Yeah, look up the inflation calculator. $300,000 is at least $1 million bucks.
That's
nowadays,
good money.
So that's damn fine. Right away, he's a disaster. I mean, October 76. He is sidelined with a leg injury, and this is after he just finishes up 3 suspensions, 3 team suspensions in a row for violating team rules, missing practices, being a general.
For being Marvin.
Fuck knows what he was doing. Because he did crazy shit. I'll give you a story in St. Louis. I'll go back a year to St. Louis, okay? This is the type of lunatic he was. And this is on the documentary also, but it's just fantastic. I got to share it with you people. Okay. He misses a flight, sleeps in, doesn't feel like taking a flight from New York to Norfolk where they're going to play. He's like, I'm not going to fucking Norfolk. I'm sleeping in. Go fuck yourselves. They all leave. He gets up, goes, oh shit, I got to be in Norfolk. There's a fucking game. All the flights are like the times aren't good. They're full. He can't get on a flight. Charters a jet to Norfolk, okay? Flies there, gets a cab to the game from the jet, bursts out of the cab. There's literally the general manager standing outside the stadium looking for him.
Yeah.
So where the fuck is Marvin?
Yeah.
He pulls up in a cab. He's got a big bag full of McDonald's hamburgers in his hand. Hands the guy a hamburger and says, good news is I'm here. I got a hamburger for you. Bad news is you got to go pay the pilot in that cab or they're going to take me to jail for theft because you owe him like $3,000.
Oh, my God.
And the cabbie I owe like $100 too. So go pay that off. I'm going to get in there. Bursts into the locker room. They're going over the game plan. Everyone's in uniform. They're about to go on the court. Bursts into the locker room, opens the double doors. He's got a fur coat on, a bag of hamburgers in his hands, opens his fur coat, and he's got the uniform on underneath it.
Unbelievable.
He says, never fear, I'm here, baby. And goes Superman. Out and scores 40 points that night. That's the type of fucking guy.
Fueled on hamburgers from McDonald's.
Fueled on hamburgers and jet lag. And the thing is, his talent is so overwhelming that it overcomes his total fuckery until drugs come into it.
Awesome.
Until drugs come in, and that's a lot of these guys. If there's no drugs,
they'll put up with them.
They can deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he can still perform.
Right.
He's kind of a crazy guy,
They'll
but
put
once
up
he
with
gets on the floor, he's on top of shit.
The shenanigans are able to be swept under the rug because all it is costing us a little bit of scratch here and there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not costing us a
I
reputation.
had to go pay the pilot, whatever, but then he scored 40.
Right.
And the fans liked it, and they bought a Marvin Barnes shirt on the way out, and everybody was
those
happy.
40 points cost us a jet ticket.
Exactly. It's worth it.
Chartered jet. I was just about to say, he's making almost $1 million a year, inflation money now.
Yeah.
That's not enough to be chartering jets to every fucking game.
No, he just was like, he got in his time machine, and he went down to Norfolk. God damn it. So at this point, we get into this is where it goes downhill. Before he goes to Detroit is when he starts getting into drugs in St. Louis, and he says, in their own words, quote, I got introduced to some drug dealers, and I got real close with them. They became like my family. I was living my fantasy through them. I always wanted to be a gangster, a drug dealer, a pimp, a player, a hustler. I was like, I'm going to die young, die fast, going to die quick, and I'm going to have fun. That's it.
Jesus
End quote.
Christ.
So, I mean, that's where he's at this point going to Detroit.
He just wants to have fun.
You just paid this guy $300,000 a year, and I believe it was $500,000 to draft him. Because you had to pay that to the old team. That was part of the deal. So
you're telling me his move to Detroit? Detroit is the town where he starts to fuck up? Detroit.
He was fucking up in St. Louis, but Detroit's where it really blossoms.
You're telling me Detroit was not somewhere that was going to make him wholesome?
Like an orchid, he blossoms. Like a shit orchid, he blossoms in Detroit. So he blossoms so deeply and so beautifully that on October 9th, 1976, he's arrested at the Detroit Metro Airport when he's found to have an unregistered handgun in his bag.
Oh, my God.
fucking idiot. Now
That's the start.
He's a felon from his first assault.
And now he's got a gun.
Can't have a gun.
No.
It's unregistered. It's not loaded, at least.
Thank God.
But it's still a gun in the airport. In any decade, not cool. Especially the 70s, because the 70s, a lot like the 2000s where we were very paranoid about air safety. The 70s, there were skyjackings everywhere. That was happening constantly. Like, they weren't flying planes in buildings, but they were making you go land over here if you don't release if they don't release some prisoner in Iran or some shit. It was all sorts of crazy
They
shit.
just wanted the bodies as like collateral.
Cuban people. It was all sorts of shit. Yeah, it was just, that's all it was. We have a plane, so do what we demand or we'll
do what I
everybody.
say or we'll kill them. It had nothing to do with I'm going to drop this into a giant building that's very populated.
This gun gets caught in the conveyor belt in his bag going through the x-ray machine. He claims that, first of all, it wasn't his. It was his girlfriend's, is what he's claiming. His girlfriend, Avita Behagen,
sounds like
who was traveling with him to St. Louis, which, she's carrying a gun. He's oh, my girl just carries a gun. I don't, though. I'm, hang out with drug dealers, and I want to live fast and die young. I'm a pimp, a player, a hustler. But I don't carry a gun with me. What are you talking about? So...
The player hustler, those words go together so well.
He claims that he told the airport staff about it. He's like, I told them I had a gun and what were the procedures for getting this gun through to the other side. He said he was told to put the gun through the conveyor belt and then on the other side they'd check it in and then he'd get it when he lands. He's like, I'm not stupid. I wouldn't put a gun on the conveyor belt. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about it. They told me to do this. So I'm not dumb. No airport security staff told you to put a gun under the x-ray machine.
No.
That red flags go off. They don't just go, hey, hang on. Hey, what do you want to check this gun or what? They don't do that. It's not like when you have an extra, like a stroller or something. They go, we're going to check this for you. It's a gun.
I'm going to x-ray your gun to make sure it's not a bomb. There are little bombs that go inside that. Everybody knows what that is.
It was wrapped in clothes. Like he thought that would protect it. If I wrap it in enough cotton, it'll keep it... There's polyester in here. That'll block the rays. They'll never see it. So, he's an idiot, and it's in the gym bag. November 16th, which is, a week later, he is Judge William McKenzie in Providence issues an arrest warrant for him for a probation violation.
Of the weapon.
And this was like a week before it expired, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
It's literally within 30 days of when his probation expired.
What terrible luck.
He's a fucking idiot is what he is.
Yeah.
It's funny how luck and stupidity really cross each other's paths
They really do.
It's like bad luck and stupid people really meet up in the middle really often. And this guy, I mean, it happens constantly. On the court, 76, 77, he's not having a great time either.
Oh, no.
He's averaging 9.6 points a game, 4.8 rebounds.
Oh, goodness.
He's getting used to the NBA style is way different than the ABA.
All right.
ABA is a wide open, like Golden State Warrior type,
run
and gun type of style. That's what they play.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. They're trying to be different than the NBA.
Gotcha.
That's their thing. Our style is different. We have a different ball.
And it's Detroit.
The red, white, and blue ball is where that came from.
And Detroit, they're known for that, for slow it down and rough them up.
Yeah, the Pistons.
Basketball,
So they were. It's man. He's
just not his style. That's just not him.
It's not him, and he's not doing well. He's not doing well adjusting.
Right. That's like putting Curry into Isaiah Thomas's role.
Yeah,
it's not going to work. It's not going to happen.
Clotheslined and murdered by
forget it.
In the Eastern Conference in the late '80s. Jesus, there would have been Steph Curry blood on the walls after every game. So
he'd ended up exploded all over Robert Parrish's thigh.
Oh God, yeah, he would have just run into Tree Rollins and it would have been over with. So December of 76, he pleads guilty to carrying a concealed weapon in Massachusetts. Now I couldn't find anything else but that he had a concealed weapon in another state now.
Right.
Now Massachusetts is involved in the fray here. He pleads guilty to that. So this makes the judge who was considering letting him. Now, he's on the hook for a year in prison.
Wow.
Over this gun charge in the airport because of his probation, because that was a year suspended sentence.
Gotcha.
He is trying to get out of this every way he can. He's trying to strike a deal saying he will be like, he will he'll just minister to the youth of Detroit. He will spend all his free time helping out the kids and giving back to the community. Just please don't send me to goddamn jail, basically. Right. You know what I mean? So, judge rejects that. Partially based on him having a gun again. Right. Basically says no.
In Massachusetts this time.
Yeah, but this is in Providence. He's getting sentenced here. He's sentenced to a year in prison for his probation violation. It reinstates the sentence on the gun charge. There is an agreement made between the prosecutors and Marvin that allows him to finish the basketball season and serve the sentence when it's over.
That's nice.
So that's not bad, actually. They're being decent to him. Judge Anthony A. Giannini is one of my favorite judges ever. By the way, this guy's great. He's so not fucking okay with Marvin Barnes at all. He's very disappointed with him. He says he's giving him a harsh sentence because he broke his promise to stay out of trouble. He said the lawyers for Barnes were, still trying to get this, disadvantaged youth angle going.
Yeah.
Giannini, not having any of that shit, says, quote, this is one of the greatest sentencing things, too, for a judge, says, quote, Barnes is not a model to be emulated by the young and impressionable. Advice to the young given by a man who has yet to prove that he is a responsible citizen must fall on deaf ears.
Nice.
You, sir, may fuck off. 1 year in prison.
And Giannini sounds like a hard ass, too.
That is a beautiful fuck off right there.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't even want you talking to the kids.
No.
You are a bad influence,
Stay the fuck away from kids, matter of fact.
No, as a matter of fact, you get extra time if you go near kids, goddammit.
Just for that bullshit try to plea.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so it's, oh my goodness. So he's got till the end of the basketball season now before he has to go to prison. He's back in there. March 22nd, 1977, Barnes is missing for a few days in Detroit. Where's Barnes? They were in Denver for a game.
Right.
They lost the game. Barnes asked if he could stay overnight and come travel back the next day. They said fine. 2 days later, he's not at practice on Tuesday. Where the fuck is Marvin? No idea. Marvin's gone, missing. He's in the wind.
Jesus.
He comes back a few days later.
Unbelievable.
They fine him. They suspend him or whatever.
For 5 days, he just disappears.
Just disappears. He's just gone. This is Marvin. He's on a coke binge. This guy. He's a crazy person. May 16th, 1977 is when he goes to jail, begins his 1 year sentence for the old parole violation here. He is eligible for probation violation. He's eligible for parole after 4 months. It's a third of his sentence.
That's nice.
So he can get out soon. He's in Cranston, Rhode Island, where he's serving. This is how, when they sentenced him, he gives a nice, in their own words here, quote, this is on how it affected his game.
Yeah.
Because he had to play for a few months knowing that he was going to prison. This is how it affected his game. He said, quote, I've got to do my time, and it's affecting me mentally and physically. This has not been a beautiful season for me. I haven't proved anything. I have been playing for this team with broken bones, a punched eye, and the dissension on this team. I have been plugging along.
Jesus.
He's all over the map there. He's like, I'm down for the team.
That's a terrible excuse.
Fuck them. They don't like me, and there's dissension, but I keep on anyway.
I keep trying.
Not exactly a team player.
But it's a terrible excuse because his stats suffered horribly.
Oh, horribly, yeah. I know his playing time was a little less, but now we get into a seriously silver-haired middle-aged white man.
Fantastic.
Oscar Feldman. Now, Oscar Feldman is like a kind of a GM's office guy for the Detroit Pistons. He says while the judge was considering letting Marvin, minister to the youth rather than go to jail, he was making quotes praising him, saying he's a credit to the judiciary and he's going to give Marvin a chance and Marvin deserves it. What a great judge, and we're just so happy to have a guy like that in public, on the bench, and crazy. At this point, he said he remained optimistic about Barnes, saying, quote, I expect Marvin to have a bright future in Detroit. He's done nothing to show that he has He's on coke. He's disappeared. Right. He's in prison.
He's got weapons in the airport.
He's in prison.
Yeah.
That's where you go. I don't know if this guy's got such a bright future in Detroit at that point. Even if you thought it up till that point, at that point you go, I'm not sure about his future in Detroit. It doesn't look that bright.
It's like that guy saying those kind of nice things about fucking Johnny Football now.
Yeah, right now.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to be a great player.
He's got a really bright future in the league. That's what he's saying right now, this silver-haired. Only a silver-haired middle-aged white man would watch a guy get on the bus shackled to go to prison and go, that young man's got a bright future in my organization. Let me tell you something.
That guy's got some talent.
How silver must your hair be? Oscar Feldman, you stupid dipshit.
Jesus.
He then praises Marvin for studying for his degree in jail and all this stuff, and says he's, quote, making the best of his situation.
Good grief.
He's just in prison just jerking Marvin off. Him and the GM, Bob Kaufman, and one of the owners all go to see him in jail, and they have a nice little circle jerk. It's amazing.
Each one massaging one nut while the other one strokes him or
the
some
other
shit.
one, like, strokes
That's
his
incredible.
hair, looks in his eyes, and tells him what a beautiful man he is.
Tells him nice, sweet things about that huge load he just shot all over the other one.
Your penis is lovely. I just wanted to tell you that. It's just fantastic.
Not a mark on it.
Not a mark on it.
So smooth.
You should put your Letterman jacket on and try to rob me. Pretend you're 18 again. So there's an article here in 1977, July 27th, about how he wants out of jail. It's called Marvin Barnes Wants Out of Jail.
Pretty solid name for the article.
He is complaining. He's like, I'm holding it together. I'm good. I'm taking classes. They put me in maximum security part for 10 days. There's killers and rapists and shit in there, and I know I'd be a target because I'm a professional athlete, and they know I have money, and so I had to stay by. He was just going on. There's a quote that's like a page long of just him like, I can't believe they did this to me, and holy shit, this is bad. Okay, gotta go now. Bye. They're serving Jello in the cafeteria, and he was just gone.
Visiting hours are over.
It was insane. So he's bitching. Now, a week later, August 4th, 1977, coincidence, I don't think. Marvin's desperate to get out. He's so desperate, he's calling the press, just going, please, please. By the way, guys, if you hear anything in the background, Frankie the crime and sports dog is roaming. So if you hear anything, it might be her with a toy or her doing her thing.
Some shit.
As you follow Frankie the crime and sports dog on Instagram.
She's on Instagram.
She's hilarious. Anyway, so a week later, after Marvin Barnes is complaining publicly, his mother goes to the authorities to tell them that she had to pay $1,500 in protection money for Marvin, saying that, like, in jail when there's new prisoners,
like he's got a hit on him.
If they have money, they like extort you for money.
Oh,
and stuff,
Jesus!
And saying that it's an ongoing racket and it's a big corruption in the prison system. This is a week after Marvin's like, get me out of jail, please, somehow. The mother asked the judge to pardon him at this point.
What?
Now, what I'm thinking happened is Marvin said, I need $1,500. There's guys that are going to kill me otherwise. And then bought a shitload of jail cocaine off with that money. And then said, maybe I could use this to get out of jail, too.
And $1,500 in jail coke is not a lot of coke.
Not a lot, no.
That'll get you a couple of days.
Yeah, 70s, coke was expensive. It wasn't, everywhere.
And in prison, it's much more expensive.
Yeah. So Marvin's sitting there with dried, just dust.
Prison coke dust on his
prison coke dust around his nose going, tell the authorities it's a racket, please. It's corrupt, Mama.
They're going to kill me.
They're going to kill me, all of them. So, yeah, it's fucking a mess at this point. And all this, it's only another month he's got to be in there. It's like, calm down, Marvin.
You got 4 weeks, dude.
Chill out. So in September of 77, he's granted parole. Doesn't get to get out right away, though. They say it's going to take another month, and Marvin's like, my game's going to suffer, and they basically told him, tough shit.
You should have thought about that for putting a weapon into a fucking carry-on.
And prisoners are going to be pissed if you get out ahead of your schedule when they don't.
There's going to be a fucking riot if you're let out.
They literally said, morale in the prison being what it is right now, we can't do that. One of the prison officials said that. He's set to return to Detroit to the Pistons on October 14th, 1977, for a fucking god-awful year of 77-78. Just a mess. He's traded to the Buffalo Braves in midseason, who turn into the San Diego Clippers, who turn into the LA Clippers.
Gotcha.
That season, he averages 11.4 points a game, 7.3 rebounds in this upcoming 77-78 season. Just not real great here.
Playing like the Clippers of the 90s.
Yeah. And on getting out of prison, this is going forward. Everything's behind him right now.
I'm good now.
Cocaine, because this is Eddie Johnson all over again, man. This is exactly what it is, and he has a very similar to Eddie Johnson life.
Awesome,
very similar. So check out Eddie Johnson. It's mirrors, and he's just as fun, by the way.
Right.
So this is his quote on getting out of prison. Everything behind him. I'm good now.
Yeah.
Cocaine. Quote in their own words: I appreciate things a whole lot more. I'm 25 now. I'm ready to go ahead in my life and accept responsibilities. I know I'll be a success.
Wow.
End quote. So
25 years old.
Reset button.
Yeah.
Like a fucking Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Mario, back to 1-1, motherfucker.
Back to 5 lives.
Back to 3 lives, 1-1. Right. And you got to wait for Luigi when you die.
So he's 25 years old, fresh out of prison. He already, at 25, has had the world as an oyster.
And he still does.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, look at it this way. He's 25, still has all the talent in the world. If he stops doing cocaine right now, he's in the NBA.
He can get back on track.
He could be making even bigger money in a few years. He could be a superstar.
A couple 40-point games, people are believing in.
They forget about all this shit,
absolutely.
as we've seen every time.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant's a perfect example.
Yeah, once it's all good. Once you get a couple big games. So
Tiger Woods, take a cue, brother. Yeah. Go win one, and everybody will love you again.
Forget about it.
So, what white girls? What were we talking about?
He wasn't fucking Hooters.
What porn
waitresses.
stars?
No, it doesn't matter. So in 1978, things are bad even for Marvin's family. This is a disease that's spread around the family. No. That's how you know how bad the home life is. It's communicable. Probably from the parents, I'm going to think here. Probably from the alcoholic father.
Right.
Barnes' sister, Alfred, was at this point in 1978 sentenced to 7 years in jail.
His sister's name is Alfred?
Alford.
Oh, Alfred.
Yeah.
All right.
She sent for a parole violation. Her original charges were check fraud and welfare fraud.
Oh, boy.
And the violation was for robbery and harboring a fugitive.
So she had no money.
She's just as much of a mess
broke.
as him.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole family's a fucking disaster at this point. Now the mother at least
harboring a fugitive.
At least who the hell knows? They robbery, so her boyfriend probably robbed something, and then she
hit him.
Said, "What? Oh yeah, come on."
I don't know. Yeah,
something stupid. So the mother's the only one. She's living in a decent house because Marvin Barnes. One nice thing he did when he got his first signing bonus, first thing he bought was his mom a house in the neighborhood. Boy. So in a shit neighborhood, but still bought her a new house.
Right.
So that was a good thing. It's July 27th, 1978. Marvin is trying to prove himself. He's really trying hard. He calls up, and he has an article. This is like a press conference, not a press conference, but he wants the press to know about this. He calls up Boston Celtics owner John Brown, because at this point, he is signed by Boston for the 78-79 season.
All right.
Now, this is the summer before the season, 78.
78, 79, Parrish and McHale and Bird are there?
No, Bird is what, 80, 79, 80. Bird comes in, I believe.
I don't know when he was drafted.
Because him and Magic were rookies in the same year. Because
that was 80 then.
That was 80.
Yeah. So then they didn't. Were they pretty good, the Celtics then?
They still had Red Auerbach and all that shit. So I mean, they
got legendary people. It was
after this. Yeah, this was the tail end of the dynasty after it had died.
All right,
that sort of thing. This is like the 2003 Yankees, basically.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So.
Still a cool, reputable thing to do.
And he said it was his dream to play for the Celtics his whole life. Because that's Providence. Providence, they get all, I've been to Rhode Island, they get all the Boston media.
Okay.
That's the TV show. Yeah. You know, they get the...
It's all New England.
They
everything's
get that,
associated with Boston.
Yeah, exactly. You get all the Red Sox scores and
Patriots
all that shit.
and all that shit.
So he calls Boston Celtics owner John Brown and asks him to remove the guarantee from his contract. He's guaranteed $300,000 a year. He says, remove the guarantee from my contract. He needs the challenge, he said. He's self-doing this. He said he's ready to show the American public the real Marvin Barnes.
Oh, no. We don't want to see that Marvin.
We do not want to see the real Marvin Barnes. He said he just got married. He marries a girl named Deborah. He just got married. He's a new man.
So he wants it like incentive
Everything's behind him. Yeah, no, he wants it to, if he doesn't perform, he can be cut and the team won't have to pay him.
Wow.
Because that's the motivation he needs. He only has $50,000 a year guaranteed at $300,000. I think that had something to do with the union.
So if he does well, he gets $300,000.
If he plays, if they keep him, he gets $300,000.
Wow.
But they could cut him after 2 games, and all he gets is his $50,000. He doesn't get the whole contract because at that point
he's a goddamn idiot.
He had guaranteed money, a 3-year guaranteed contract. So if they cut him after 2 games, they had to pay him $900,000.
That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard to remove that.
It's fucking stupid. Yeah. Now, if you're actually serious, and if you actually have quit cocaine, and if you're actually serious, it's a good, it's a move to say, hey, listen, look at me, and everybody goes, wow, look at Marvin. He's not fucking around anymore.
Yourself.
It's betting on yourself. But to throw the money on the table for no reason and then snort cocaine off of it, that's stupid. You're an idiot at that point. He's married at this point. In 78, player coach at this point, Dave Cowens, who's a legend, he is the head coach and player and he's a player too, of Boston, said in public to a media member, quote, "I don't want him around, exclamation point. I don't want him in uniform. This is a job and the way we make our living. But you've got to abide by the rules. And if you have to depend on Barnes for your livelihood, you got a problem." That's the coach of the team.
I don't want to know Marvin. That's what he just said.
Don't fucking want him. And he was absolutely correct to think that because Marvin admits to snorting cocaine on the bench during games while he played for the Boston Celtics. On the bench.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
At least Eddie Johnson did it in the goddamn locker room.
That's more ballsy than Mark Grace smoking cigarettes in the tunnel.
Everybody did that back then. That was normal. People used to smoke them in the dugout back
That's
then.
awesome.
This is on the bench. He's doing cocaine, which is highly illegal still, and looked upon as not a real nice thing to do in the 70s. Here's his, in their own words, about his on-bench cocaine use. Quote, "Yeah, I was doing it on the bench. I was playing for the Celtics, and I was sitting next to Nate Archibald and somebody else, and I was just snorting cocaine right there on the bench while the game was going on. They all moved away from me. I had it hid under a towel. I guess I don't need to say that my career didn't last much longer after that.
Holy shit.
End quote.
That's amazing. I can't imagine any job that you're doing, and you're doing coke just right on the while you're watching people do whatever it is that you do.
It's a disaster.
No matter where you're at.
No.
If you're doing coke just sitting down and relaxing on your break, you're going to get fired.
Unless you're like a 1979 like record producer.
Unless
you're sitting there in the booth going, give us another take, Rod Stewart. What do you got there? Yeah, she thinks you're sexy. She really wants you. Come on, let's go, buddy. Let's go. 2 takes. Come on, we got to get this.
Unless your job is cocaine salesman. You're getting fired from
Even
whatever
then, it's like, dude, don't get high on your own supply. What the fuck? Never appropriate to do cocaine on the job. So, 78-79 season ends miserably. 8.1 points per game, 4.7 rebounds. Just in the toilet. June of 1979, after the season ends, the summertime with these NBA players with problems, Barnes is charged with assault on May 29th, 1979, on his estranged, at this point, wife, Deborah. Remember, his new guy just got married? She's estranged already.
It's over already.
After allegedly slapping her after a party. June 30th, by that time, 1 month goes by, the charges are dropped. What a different time this is in the 70s. Charges are dropped because Deborah Barnes told the judge that she considered it, quote, a family matter. They said, you two go home and settle it.
We'll handle it internally.
Holy shit. I don't think that's what the TV show of the same name had in mind.
No.
Family matter, where you can beat your wife and tell the cops to take a fucking hike. Because we'll handle it internally.
Urkel pops in and Carl Winslow's popping.
Fucking working, what's her fat ass over? I don't even remember.
Mrs. Winslow.
Working Mrs. Winslow over.
Harriet was her name.
There you go. Harriet Winslow.
Got her pinned down on a coffee table and just blasting her with...
That's like the third Winslow reference. Jesus Christ, man. We are heavy on the Family Matters reference. I watched maybe 3 episodes of that show and haven't seen it in 25 years. I used to watch it
every Friday.
I fucking hated that show.
Loved it.
Lord, so corny. All right, so by February of that year, he was placed on waivers, so he's already gone.
It's done.
There's articles at this point where, after the June thing, where he's like just saying, "I'm a good guy. I just want to play. I'm a good guy. Somebody hire me." Red Auerbach, who is the legendary coach of...
He's a big deal.
Yeah, 2 hands with 9 titles, I believe.
He is the Lombardi from Green Bay of Boston.
It's amazing. Yeah, he's 9 NBA titles. He's Phil Jackson before Phil Jackson in the 60s, had a dynasty in the Celtics. He said about his release, why they released Marvin, he said, quote, Barnes has failed to live up to his contractual obligations. He hasn't contributed competitively to the ball club. Barnes has not maintained himself in first-class condition to play and has materially breached his contract.
Jesus,
sir, may fuck off again.
No doubt. That's a well-spoken... That there is why he's a legend.
Why he's a legend. Yeah. He brought that in concisely and said, this is why he's a piece of shit right here. He said everything but take personal. He even said he's kind of fat. He's a little fat, I'm not going to say. He's gained a couple of pounds.
He could take a jog.
He could take a couple of jogs.
You'd think somebody that's on that much coke would be a little thinner.
We expected him to be thinner with all this cocaine. We said he's on coke, but he's going to be in great shape. Great shape. Turns out he's a fat fuck, too. We should have known after the bags of hamburgers that we hear about him.
He's a lazy drug doer.
And he used to back in the day, this is when, before coke, he was cool. He would, go in his big, giant car in his Rolls Royce and pick up, ghetto kids from the neighborhood and take them all to McDonald's and show up at the game with 40 kids behind him with McDonald's and shit, and they're coming to the game with me. That's cool shit.
He's seen that Mean Joe Green commercial for Coke, and he's like,
before
I want
that
to be
commercial. Even this is before that. He was Mean Joe Green before that. So if he didn't get into Coke, man, this guy was just a cool, crazy, flaky. He might have been Charles Barkley.
All right,
that type of guy.
I'm not a role model.
Not a role model. He might have just been kind of a wacky, kind of whatever.
Not a role model, but let's go get a cheeseburger.
A good quote, whatever. He punched a guy in a bar, so, some poor shit like that. A teammate with a tire iron, same thing.
Doing a key bump on a bench, and he has a great quote about it or some shit.
Fucking cocaine. So he says of his whole time in the NBA, in their own words, quote, this is kind of sad here. Quote, this is the only time when he's kind of like, man, I think I fucked up. He says, quote, on the court, I felt the only ones who could stop me were God and myself. And that's what happened. I stopped myself. When I started using drugs, I was snorting cocaine day and night. I didn't have any control. When I started using coke, if we had back-to-back games on a Friday and a Saturday, I would start snorting coke and keep doing it up until an hour before the game on Saturday. I was tearing my body down.
Oh, my God.
So that's why he's Brett Auerbach saying he's not in physical shape. He's showing up for 2 days doing coke, and he had a game the night before, so no rest.
The only thing he cares about is coke.
It's amazing that he was getting 8.1 points per game, honestly.
Scoring 40 in the ABA to going to this is unbelievable.
He was doing it on the bench. On the bench during the game. You can't even stop
That's
for 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
While you're on the bench in pub. There's cameras.
You're doing it up to an hour before game time. How is there not enough in your system to carry you through this game?
And then it went to fucking hour before game time. It's the second quarter. There's still 4 minutes left. I'm getting kind of sleepy. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, at this point now, he's 79-80. He plays for the Clippers, the San Diego Clippers. 3-point. He only plays 20 games. They cut him after he gets like 2 10-day contracts, and then they shit can him. 3.2 points a game, 3.9 rebounds per game.
Ugh.
Finishes up his entire pro career, 16 points a game, even 9.1 rebounds per game.
That's not even bottom of the bench.
And that's because his ABA numbers were so great. That counts those. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, he's a mess.
That's not even the last guy on the depth chart numbers. Those are terrible numbers.
He's done with major professional American basketball. He's totally fucked. He's got a rip-roaring cocaine addiction. He's slapping his wife. I mean, his sister's in jail for 7 years. His mom's got a house, but he's got a teammate with a cracked skull from a tire iron. He's been to jail. His mom's been extorted. Life is hard for Marvin Barnes. Everyone around him. I feel bad.
I feel terrible for them.
I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy. I really do. But not nearly as bad as I feel for these poor bastards named Marvin Barnes that are floating around out there in the world.
There's got to be a shitload of them.
Just a few of them here. Marvin Barnes, the sales team leader of the Gulf Coast with cellular sales in Flowood, Mississippi.
Or maybe has a coke problem.
And possibly Marvin Barnes, project manager at Air Force Civil Engineering Center in San Antonio, Texas.
Or maybe he was beaten by his father.
I feel bad for this guy, but he went to the University of Phoenix, so he's an idiot that'll fall for anything.
I am a Phoenix, you jackass.
Marvin Barnes is from Sycamore Containers in Sycamore, Illinois. Marvin Barnes is senior therapeutic specialist at Gilead Sciences in Dallas-Fort Worth. And then Marvin Barnes, a technology manager at Bank of America in Charlotte, North Carolina. You poor guys are about 6 pages deep when you Google your name, guys. You're about 6 pages deep of cocaine stories and horrible insanity.
Be thankful that you're not chasing some career in entertainment.
Thank shit for that. Or sports or...
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. But
just stay with Bank of America and whatever else you guys are doing.
The one guy's picture on LinkedIn, he looked like a 55-year-old black guy, too. And I was like, there's people that are going to confuse that poor bastard and be like, poor guy. I hope he's not 6'9".
He's got a terrible past.
He better be short. I'm like, okay, not the same guy. So August 8th, 1980, he signs with the Trieste Hurlingham team in Italy. Now he's going over to Europe. He's playing ball. He's just trying to do something. In November 7th, 1980, I got this article, by the way, from the greatest newspaper name of all time, the Baltimore Afro-American, which is a very 1980 name for a newspaper. He's 1980, November 7th, he's arrested at a party in Trieste, Italy. So he finds it wherever he fucking goes. Police find a bunch of cocaine at the party, of course.
Yeah.
There's fashion models and it's like a high society cocaine party, basically. He's charged with making a false statement originally for lying about something. He probably said, I ain't got no cocaine. He had a bunch of cocaine in his face, bunch in his pocket.
You're in possession of about 1/8 of a gram on your face, sir.
Yeah. He's also held for 4 days on some sort of vague Italian, I don't know what the laws are over there, but some sort of vague sexual charges after police interview a bunch of the women at the party. So he's being held.
Some vague copulation of some broad.
Yeah, they let him out eventually. Right. They let him out.
Fingered a butthole on accident.
4 days, they let him out. The team shit cans him. Not even for that. They apparently had shit canned him before that incident. I don't know what the hell he was still doing in Italy. For, guess what, failing to go to practice and, quote, other various team offenses. Who the fuck knows?
Everything's just like other various
clocking a guy with a tire iron to doing cocaine on the bench. Just, you name it. Don't worry, he did it. It's something.
He's just done a bunch of shit and we're done with him.
So, I mean, he's done there. Next year, August 10th, 1981.
Good God.
Barnes is arrested in Providence for charges of pandering for a prostitute, which is pimping. On his ex-girlfriend. She says that he just kept trying to, quote, turn her out on the streets and get him to go out there. A month later, though, she says misunderstanding.
We'll handle it internally.
We're handling it internally. It's an internal matter. It's a family matter.
Family matter. We'll deal with it.
Judge said, tally ho then, guys. You guys have a good one. And charges are dropped against him. No problem there. Just tell him it's an internal. This is all every summer.
Yeah.
July 28th, 1982.
Jesus.
Next summer, Barnes is arrested for marijuana possession and eluding police after he's seen on the streets. He's seen purchasing a large amount of marijuana on the street. Like, cops watched him purchase it, and then they had to chase him down.
They're like, sir, you there. And then he's like, oh, I'll see you guys around, and just runs.
Hey, later, guys.
Yeah.
I'll see you around.
I will not stop right here.
I will not stop right here. I have this large bag of marijuana I need to get home and bag up quick.
No, sir, I have a long, extensive history with you guys. I would not like to speak with you.
So what a disaster. He's charged with possession with intent to distribute, which is a felony. Eluding, too. He ran away from the cops.
Him as a drug dealer.
Once again, the cops were like, is that Marvin Barnes trying to buy a shitload of weed over there? He's got his fucking Boston Celtics team jacket on with Marvin on it. I don't know what happened.
Is that a Central High jacket that says Marvin?
Central High jacket? Is that Marvin Barnes? He is 6'9". Yeah. Doesn't look like he's in very good shape.
Does he have coke on his nose?
Is that coke? Shitty jail coke? Watch the tire iron. Watch it. Don't
get too close.
Quickly. So he's doing so well in 82 after that happens that in September of 1982, September 30th to be exact, Barnes signs with the Continental Basketball Association.
Holy shit.
Who signed Jason Williams after he shot a guy in the fucking face.
They don't give a shit what you've done.
Actually, no, that was before he shot a guy in the face. They signed him. Who signed Eddie Johnson after he was done.
Wow.
If you're a guy who ever had a name, and they signed Tom Paine.
No
Paine
kidding.
Played there after getting out of jail on multiple 4 rape charges. They were like, hey, sign him right up. He played for,
Kenny Dunk, bring him over.
Louisville Catbirds.
Catbirds, that's right.
He signs with the Detroit Spirits. It's a new team. They take the old St. Louis failed name there.
He's played in Detroit, and he played for the Spirits. That's the perfect team for him.
This shit doesn't last long at all.
I can't imagine.
Cocaine, robbery, theft, pimping, blah, 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 blah. There's a storm. Who the hell knows?
I guarantee when he got interviewed, he said, I'm good now.
I'm good now. Everything's fine. So
Cocaine!
Cocaine! Where is it? So he's, at this point in the early 80s, he is... Now, this charge here, I saw it different every place, and nobody has a concise story of exactly what happened. So I don't know if this is... I'm going to say this is the 90s, so I'm going to wait on this for 1 second. From 1985 to 1989, he lives on the street in San Diego.
Wow.
He's homeless. He's arrested various times.
It's a good place to be homeless,
He says... that's what he says. He says... of it...
How did I
He says,
that?
quote, it was warm, so I robbed and stole. That's what he said. It was warm,
beautiful.
So I figured, fuck it, I'll steal shit.
Chill out on Mission Beach.
He's homeless the whole time. He says he sleeps in abandoned buildings and cars. He said he's just drinking, pimping, robbing, stealing, living on the street.
Hustler, babe.
He said he always wanted to. Well, here he
there
is.
It is.
Minus the Cadillac. He said he was so desperate that he wanted to get caught that he would rob cash registers and tell the cashier, my name's Marvin Barnes, and walk out. I'm going to be over here.
Remember that name.
Literally, he'd be like, I'm going to be on the corner over here. My name's Marvin Barnes. Remember me.
Is he just looking for a house?
He wanted to get caught.
Jesus.
Started doing heroin in addition to his cocaine.
Oh, no.
So he is a fucking mess with the substances, man. It's so bad. October 1989, he's arrested in San Diego on some heroin, some cocaine, and also stealing videotapes from an adult bookstore. That's what he gets busted for. Theft. Jesus
For a second
Christ.
there, I was terrifiedly worried for him. Like, genuinely inside my heart.
Yeah.
I was like, he's doing coke and
heroin. It's
and then
explode.
You say he's stealing adult store.
He still wants to jerk off.
VHS tapes, like the ones that you rent and then return. He's stealing somebody else's DNA.
So the good
because
news
you have
is,
put your
you
got your dick
on their hands when they take it out of the VCR. Absolutely. That
he
thing
just stole semen.
Put a black light on one of those bad boys circa 1989. I don't think so. But the good news is he had access to a VCR at some point. Either that or more than likely he was going to go sell them on the streets for fucking $3.
Exactly.
Hey, you want some porno? $3. And then he was going to go fucking buy some more heroin.
You want to go jerk your dick? Here you go.
Yeah, here you go.
It'll help you out.
This will help you right here. So he gets a 9-month sentence for that. And at this point, There is fluff pieces abound about this guy in every paper. Barnes is.
How do you write something positive about that?
How many athletes, every time they fuck up, if they are okay or seemingly coherent for 5 goddamn minutes, somebody will come out with an article saying, "Oh, there's great now, everything's fine." Everyone loves a redemption story much that they just jump the gun on these redemption stories. Every
the Hurricane sold like a motherfucker,
dude. It's amazing. I mean, so he's saying that now he's doing nothing but studying the Bible.
Yeah.
He's found religion, which we know is a bad sign at this point, judging by our other people.
Yeah.
No offense if you're religious, you're not an athlete who's been in jail 12 times.
And
that's a bad sign.
A cocaine and heroin addiction.
Yeah. So,
and you pimped out your ex-girlfriend, and you drew down on your father when you were 18 years old.
And smashed your teammate and robbed the bus with your... They could go on forever.
Unbelievable.
It's insane. So, I mean, he finds religion, and they're all saying he's in jail, but he's not out. Down, but not out, man. Yeah. He's in good shape. Everything's going to be fine with Marvin Barnes. He's doing so much better now. Until, apparently... I don't know if this happened... for like 85, 86, or early 90s. We cannot get confirmation on it, but I believe it's early 90s. In the timeline, it makes the most sense if it's in the early 90s. He goes to Houston, Texas to be in a rehab facility. Not long after that, he is arrested in a drug ring for trafficking in cocaine. He's arrested for delivering drugs.
Trafficking.
He's in a major cocaine ring and a huge bust. He's a part of it.
Shit.
He gets a 7-year sentence, prison.
That's over.
Texas prison.
Yeah.
He served a 7-year sentence at Linaw prison in Fort Stockton, Texas. It's horrible. I mean, he at one point tells a story about when he was in prison, and he said the guards wouldn't stop fights. They would encourage fights, and they would let them happen, and they were probably betting on him.
I guarantee they're betting.
They were like,
and
especially him. He's 6'9".
6'9".
At this point, too, in prison, he's like 300 pounds.
You're
He's
constantly betting against him.
Yeah,
and trying to get
he's huge.
Oh, I'm betting against him and trying to get the underdog money.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm doing every time. Yeah,
let's try to even out the money.
Big,
here.
hell yeah.
So he's talking about a time when he beat a prisoner senseless, and he saw his blood flowing all over the place, and he was kicking him when he was down, and the guy was half dead on the floor, and he was like, "That's when I needed to change my life. I knew at that point, like, I needed to get my shit together, and that this wasn't going to work anymore."
Jesus.
And so he tries and tries and tries. 2000, he reasserts himself to Christianity again. He's all religious. June 30th, 2002. There's a big fluff piece in the Beaver County Times about how Marvin works with kids to keep them off drugs. He says he's been clean for 2 years, which that meant in 2000 when he was still fucking up after prison and everything else. So he's been clean. Everything's great.
He's out of prison now.
June 30th, 2002. Yeah, he's free. He's doing fine. Yeah. He's doing great with the kids. Everything's wonderful.
Schools are allowing this man on their campus.
Absolutely. So everything's good for Marvin now, right? I'm good, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Absolutely. Until December 22nd, 2005.
It's getting to be around Christmas time.
When Warwick police arrest Barnes for disorderly conduct after arriving at a home after a call of a home invasion to find him on a balcony, butt naked. He is naked as shit, dragging a woman across a balcony while she screams, "Please help me," back at the house.
Holy shit.
Okay. He admits that he'd been drinking all day and that this was a friend of his, the woman.
Yeah.
And you got to be a really close friend to be
Super
naked
close.
and dragging.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you got your dick out in her presence. You got to be pretty close at that point.
And you're dragging her. She's very close to your dick.
That's got to be a heated argument.
Yes.
Like, I don't have many friends that I could get into arguments that heated where I want to take my clothes off and drag them by the hair across a balcony. So he called her a friend and said it was just a misunderstanding.
That's what he said. We'll deal with it internally.
Misunderstanding. We're going to deal with it internally. It's a family matter. I like to take my cock out, go outside, and drag her with me. Just some shit we do. So 2 weeks later, there's a fluff piece about how he's working with the Rebound Foundation to help kids.
What the fuck?
2 weeks later.
He's going to teach them how to get naked and drag women?
There are literally 2 weeks later, people... He's hanging out with kids after he was naked, drunk, dragging a woman off the thing. And 2 weeks later, they're going, "This is fine. He should be around children."
Yeah.
They even mention the arrest in the fluff piece.
Wow.
But they're like, they breeze by it and they're like, "But today he's great. I'm good now. Cocaine."
Is it like
holy shit?
Every day you've got to write something nice about him and because you've got to correct because that piece is going to be shit in a couple weeks anyway.
That's what I mean. It's like you just keep one on file.
Yeah.
Keep a fluff piece and a here he goes again piece on file. Just throw them out every once in a while. Yeah, give me Marvin Barnes 2A. That's the fluff piece.
Just stagger them.
Oh, shit, Marvin Barnes 2B. Just got arrested again. So now he's fine. January 6, 2006, really no more.
Right.
Everything is good, goddammit. Jimmy, I believe in this man. He's working with the Rebound Foundation. He's helping kids, goddammit. He's doing it, right?
Right.
Wrong. May 15th, 2007. He's arrested in Providence, Rhode Island.
Good God.
For guess what? Cocaine possession.
Of course. He went back home, though, so he's clearly on that slide.
Doing it again.
Just got to get back home to rebound and start over.
He's driving an SUV. They pull him over, search him, got a bunch of cocaine in the car. Again, as usual. Same year, 2007, he releases the book title that has the most fucking commas in it I've ever goddamn seen. Dude, make up your mind and get that shit concise. 2007 book called, quote, They Call Me Bad News, The Fast Times, Wild Nights, and Outlaw Life of Basketball's Original Rebel Marvin Barnes.
Jesus God.
Holy shit, dude. Pick a title and fucking go with it.
This book's about Marvin Barnes.
So I am more mad at him for his indecisiveness than anything. Just shit together, bro. Bad News is a great nickname.
Yeah.
It's concise. It's wonderful. This fucking idiot, he can't come up with a book title.
They Call Me Bad News is beautiful.
They Call Me Bad News. The Fast Life and Times of Marvin Barnes or some shit like that.
God.
Whatever. The Basketball's Original Rebel Martin.
Yeah.
You can pick a third of that title and it's fine.
You could
Any
take
third.
You could take 4 words, random ones out of there, and make a great title.
It's wonderful. Yeah. So, I mean, he continues to apparently just... After that, the next few years, he's on, he's off, he's on, he's off. Apparently, in about 2010, 2011, he really just never comes really back off.
Yeah.
I mean, he totally does 19 rehab stints. So I mean, he tried over his life. I mean, 19 rehab stints. He did 4 different prison terms. He did a total of like 5 years in prison, basically, with all of his shit added up.
There are between my parents and my wife's parents, between the 4 of the individual people, there are 18 marriages combined. He has 19 stints in rehab.
19.
I don't feel like he tried, because they have 18 failed marriages between them.
They kept trying.
And I look at them and I'm like, they're not trying.
The harder to get.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like 19 stints is really trying. I feel like he just went to say, look, I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Because it was court ordered, and it was what he needed to do to show what he was doing.
He just went right the fuck
half
back.
the time it was a goddamn bed to sleep in, probably too.
Yeah,
that's so who knows?
It's just desperation.
Bad. Yeah.
And I feel like their marriages, those 18 marriages, are just desperation as well. Go on.
It's true, man. He goes back and forth and on and off, and it's just sad.
Yeah.
One week he's working with kids, next week he is just coked out and out of his mind. He dies September 8th, 2014.
Oh, good grief.
So finally,
he gets some peace. He's off the drugs.
He's off the drugs.
Off the
finally,
drugs.
God damn it! Yes,
his corpse still probably is chock full of them.
62 years old.
Oh.
So I mean, for making it, he had a pretty goddamn heavy, wild life to make it 62 years.
I can't believe his heart held out for 62 years.
I know. I'm really hoping that Eddie Johnson follows in his footsteps and dies at 62 also, because Eddie Johnson did way worse shit than him.
Way worse.
Their lives were perfectly mirrored, except for that last thing Eddie Johnson
Very
did.
parallel. Right up until
Eddie Johnson's most horrific
shit.
shit, where go back and listen to Eddie Johnson if you want to hear about it, because it's horrible, and I'll go off on a
At
rant
least he
for it
never
for 10
hurt
minutes.
children. That's nice.
He didn't. He was really nice
a happy
to kids.
Story.
He was really nice to kids. He was a fucking disaster that I guess you didn't want to be a woman around him. You didn't want to be a teammate or an owner or a coach of a team that he was involved in or anything like that.
Right.
But as far as kids go,
Yeah.
he was fine. Unless... there's never any thoughts of him, I never heard any reports of him being naked, dragging any of them across a balcony anyway. So
he's not dragging children around.
The former Providence teammate, and he was in 2014, he was a Dallas Mavericks scout, Kevin Stackham, who was also the director of the Rebound Foundation. So he kept trying to help Marvin over the years. He was the one that confirmed the death. He said he was very close to Marvin and stayed close to him. And he said that Marvin had recently, again, been using on and off. He had a couple of years sobriety, and then he was on and off. And
we're not surprised, Stackham.
We're not surprised at all at Marvin Barnes' downfall here. Yeah. And that's Marvin Barnes.
There it is.
Wow, dead at 62.
Finally get some peace.
Yeah, quite an entertaining life, though, I gotta say. I mean, entertaining as far as, a NASCAR car wreck is entertaining. But entertaining
for us.
For us, for you guys, hopefully, because what a fucking...
Unbelievable.
He had a lot going on.
He had the opportunity, and
he
it's
really
just
did.
over.
He could literally be an NBA Hall of Famer. He could be on TNT. Yeah. He could be one of these elder statesmen. Yeah. He could be one of these guys that's like a vice president of a team or something like Elgin Baylor. And
there
all
could
those
be
guys
gangsters wearing
Jerry
his
West.
throwback jersey.
Oh, absolutely. There are people that wear his throwback. Oh, his St. Louis, Spirits of St. Louis, Marvin Barnes jersey, that's a popular item.
Really?
Oh, because he was he's a cultural figure, man.
Yeah,
He was like, he had the pimp hat and the fur coat with the Superman opening and a bag of hamburgers.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he was the man. And
so people are very, very aware that, and they're buying his stuff still.
They are.
So he was probably getting paid from that still too, right? Don't they get a cut of their jersey sales?
Maybe, but it's not enough.
It's not enough. No,
and I bet you it didn't
probably
really happen.
6 a year.
Yeah, and I bet the 30 for 30 helped a lot.
Yeah,
too,
that'll do it. That'll bring it back
a lot too, because he was still alive for the 30 for 32.
That's
so
nice.
You got a lot of like Marvin Barnes, firsthand Marvin Barnes.
I love it.
He's in a barber shop at one point getting his hair cut. And he's like, I was the best player on the damn floor. I was the best player in the damn world. Nobody could stop me. Nobody. He's the most arrogant, cocky about his game. He's like, I don't care. I was the greatest damn player anybody ever saw. He goes, Moses Malone, I'll take Dr. J to the hole. I'll take everybody. I don't care. Like, he was just going off.
I love it.
Showing him, like, his basketball card.
I'm into arrogance. I like that a lot.
And he had, like, an ego about his playing.
Yeah.
Like, I was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was as good as me. And I found that shit endearing because I was like, that's fucking cool. Like, I don't know. It seemed like he was doing well while they shot the documentary at that very moment. And
he's probably on coke.
So you felt good for him. Yeah, and in the documentary, they didn't really go into his later life. It was about the Spirits of St. Louis. So once the league folded, it was like, and Marvin Barnes had some problems, and now he's fine. Like, that was it. You know what I mean? Now he's in a barbershop talking about how good he was.
That's so good.
So this is really a kind of a concise, we go through the timeline and kind of get it done for you guys, and I hope you enjoy that right there. Once again, please remember the damn iTunes reviews, guys.
Please do.
We beg of you, because that was fun, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I do. Also, remember to follow us on social media. At Crime and Sports on Twitter, Facebook.com/CrimeandSports, crimeinsports@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Tell us some shit.
Yeah.
If also, too, we've been giving you people's like jail addresses. Write them, like Mark Busby.
Go nuts.
Like crazy Mark Busby in Australia. God, we love Australia. Our numbers are crazy in Australia.
They're
right
going
now,
crazy.
They're like,
because
it's
Busby
awesome.
is going person to person.
You are our continent, Australia. We love you, goddammit. Oh yeah, it's Busby knocking on every door. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I don't have an accent. I'm not going to do an Australian accent.
Would you like to listen to a podcast?
Yeah, just banging on doors. I picture him with like a dead koala hanging from it. Listen to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast or I'll slap you with the wallaby.
Yeah, just koalas are they there or in China?
Koalas are there and wallabies and
pandas
kangaroos.
are in China.
Pandas are in China,
whatever.
right.
All right, fine. So,
they don't fuck.
Thank you guys though for all you guys, but we appreciate it a lot. Make sure to get on the iTunes. Do that. Write those people letters. Send us the emails. We'll post it on our social media. We'll have a blast with it. Thanks to all the new listeners. Thanks to all the old listeners. We love you so much. Next week is going to be awesome. We're going to have another lunatic. Jimmy, give him your social media.
At Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks. That's Twitter and Instagram.
Beautiful. I'm at Jimmy P is funny. Find me there. Whatever. I'll talk shit to you. But thanks again, guys. Keep it going. Tell your friends. We're comics. We're not journalists.
Nope.
We don't have a podcast network.
No.
We're not in like podcast
It's you guys.
These. You guys are the only thing spreading us.
Right.
So honestly, man, this is as organic as it gets. It's
Tell 6 people.
grassroots. Tell 6 people, and maybe one of them will listen, and keep harassing them, and maybe they'll listen
and
again.
then maybe they'll tell 6 people.
And if you do iTunes reviews, then they'll find us easier.
Right.
And people will be able to find us. And then you can say, I listened to that from back then.
Yeah.
When those guys didn't know what the fuck they were doing, even less than they do now.
Right.
So
I listened to
guys.
it when they were talking about Ray Caruth, and there was very little jokes.
There was very little jokes. But so, Crime and Sports Movement.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. We will see you next week.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment.
charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus